computers operate the upper mantle.
Do you think these computers still get serviced by Cro-Magnon underground?
No. These are self-taught computers. They receive the basic programming at the beginning, but over time learn the lessons to fix themselves. See it every day with the technology on computers in your own home.
Yeah.
That you are told on the screen what to do.
They tell you what to do now. The computer tells you what to do instead of you telling.
So there we are. Who's got the time?
So what do you think the role is of...
Quarter after 3.
I beg your pardon?
Quarter after 3.
Quarter after 3. I have to be out of here by 3:30. There are some animals that have not had water yet. It froze last night again. And this is the age of Aquarius, and I'm the water bearer.
Oh, I want to ask a question about... somebody mentioned to me yesterday, they were talking about, in the Zodiac, they call it the 13th sign. Unlike it was the Zodiac.
I heard that yesterday.
Oh, did you?
I have no knowledge of what they mean by it, so I'll have to defer until I find out.
Yeah. It was saying something about, they call that 13th sign the serpent bearer, something like that. I can't email you anything because you can't receive it.
3 pyramids and a sphinx is 13. 1331, the priest of masonry, who does remote control. I don't know, Jordan. I just running through stuff that's running through my mind on it. But I have to observe, analyze, and conclude.
Yeah.
And there's no schedule on that. I can't tell you tomorrow or the next day because it may require more search than done in that time. The only advantage I have over you guys by living on this planet, mind you, that I've lived longer.
Yeah.
And I don't accept anybody's definition of anything just because they say it. And I'm telling you that about the things I'm telling you. Just because I believe what I say doesn't mean you should, without first observing, analyzing, and concluding.
Yep. True. Very true.
The experiences that you have to live with and through during your lifetime that will confirm what I say or confirm what the system says. I have no fears that anyone with a functioning brain can see the evidence all around. God even told us at the end times, signs will be all around. They are. They are. Take my word for it. Go outside, have a look. Double check it, triple check it. The signs are all around.
Yeah.
We know that it doesn't happen overnight, that there's a phased-in approach to things, and the final phase is 1,000 years from now. So 33 means 3,300. We are phase 1, Northern Hemisphere. 2,162, rounded off, 2,062, rounded off, and 2,100, 2 and 1. Next one is 1,000 years later. The cleanup afterwards, 3,300, is not impossible as being the final day. Not the end of the planet, end of the people who live on the planet. And we can't reverse what has been done. But I believe that creation would be open to extending the lifespan of people on the planet another 5,000 years. I say that because Alder Amin, the second son, is not due until the year 7,000 or thereabouts. So let's use the 5,000 years to figure out how the hell to get out of here. We are, in fact, in a container. We live in a 4-dimensional egg shape. If we have the information on the gateway out, that was a reverse of the gateway in, that would be a 5th dimension. The place we would end up being in would be the 6th dimension. It's where the alterations occur, number 7. And the building of new universes, number 8. We can get to the 6th dimension if we can remember with creation and we stop being energy and become matter again. Might matter. If we are part of creation, it's because we brought to creation lessons that needed to be incorporated. Creation knows everything, but has no senses. It's not a human being. We, on the other hand, have the feelings that go along with the things we learn. And if we don't depend solely on our medulla that's been tampered with, feelings that we have are based upon good and evil. If we've chosen good, we can bring to creation the feelings of feeling good to be incorporated into the next universe. So that we don't have to go through same trial and error stupidity, handing over power, hijacker, name corresponds to dog, that way.
Hey Glenn, with these, if the computer's running everything on Neanderthals' behalf, and they're not as many, it seems, as they were, in the beginning, and there seems to be only a few left of them. Like, where are they at in all of this? Are they they're like ignorant in their own
As far
abode?
as I recall, there would be approximately 144,000 equal to Neanderthals, each one having brought to the central computer a portion of genius. And as far as I know, they're still there. Whether they are involved or not, I can't tell you.
So
Now that the computers have got enough information in them to run on their own, they may be sitting around a bar just looking up at us, wondering how well we'll make out.
does it
But
seem
they
like
have defined two groups of people starting in 40,000 BC. They made Cro-Magnon in their image. Starting in approximately 8,000 BC, 10,000 years ago, they made Roma. Roma was to be divided to groups of wanderers who would wander across the earth. Name given to them by some is gypsy. Others call them aboriginals. They are the bottom up. Cro-Magnon worked the top down. Neither of them are on our side. And I tell you that from a position that I consider I was Cro-Magnon. The original people were the hermaphroditic clan mothers of Africa and the original Neanderthalers, whom I suggest came from a place probably what you would call Czechoslovakia today. They hand out the checks. They settled eventually in a place in the Middle East which they call Tyre. It's a play on roll. Let's roll. Lebanon seems to be that place. Paris of the Middle East. Continually battered between peace and war. Learning the lessons how to impose conflict. Jordan seems to be a place from which control by India directed. India used to own the land we now call Pakistan. It's an egg within an egg within an egg within an egg within an egg in all phases of the story. The original Trojan horse. A hermaphrodite made up of 10 elements will be a Trojan horse that looks like woman, built like man on the inside, but is ruled by the nickel-colored mineral that always covers copper. Fence is always policemen called cops or copper, because they are remade over and over and over again as policemen.
Well, it's not these policemen that you want to really make understand.
They are not doing the job that the media tells you they're doing. Only recently has the media been finger-pointing police all over the world. Time is now for a management change in almost every phase of everything you hear on radio and TV. Management change seems to be, at this time, the goal from human beings of two genders, women are of combined genders, unified. But they're not done yet. They have to put all the pieces together, and that will take 10 years. By 2020, you'll know the difference. It won't be as subtle as Hillary is to Laura Bush. It will be much clearer who's in charge.
Yeah, and it's going to be so obvious. And do you think anybody will even react?
I am not interested in who else but me reacts. I leave that to them. I react.
I'm reacting now.
And I've been reacting since I was 57 years of age.
Oh, Heinz ketchup?
Yeah. Made of many elements. Gotta go now.
All right, good.
Talk to you. You guys keep it up.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Who's there still?
I'm here.
Is Brandon there? He said he was on the call, but he's not. Guess not. Man. So yeah, what's up, guys? So what? You know who called me the other day? A guy iconoclast. I was sleeping and I just woke up and picked up the phone, and he's like, Glen Kealey admits he's working with intelligence agencies. What do you have to say to this? And I'm like, what? He probably has it on his channel. You probably hear it. And I'm like, what? Huh?
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, and then it was this, and then he goes, what do you have to say about Arizona Wilder? I'm like, oh man. And then and I was just like, you know what, man, I can't speak, for other people, man. What type of shit is that? To call somebody up to ask about somebody else, like, as if I'm that person. But whatever.
That's what those kind of people do, you know?
Word. Yeah. So, Nia, what you been looking into?
What?
What have you been looking into, man?
Rereading encyclopedias, looking at older text, looking to European text. Manually translating French books right now. things like that.
With the French, I see is interesting. You'll see. I mean, the best way to learn is to be around people. Well, is when you go inside an encyclopedia or dictionary, and you see what it says for French or whatever. But like, you gotta know how it sounds like, and the only way you can really know that is if you have an idea, like you can speak the language, and that's you gotta hear it. I mean, that's the benefit. Like those priests who had the phonetic, because they would hear those sounds. And you could hear those sounds, and you break those sounds that you hear into the syllables, and it's more words, and it's,
Yeah.
It's not like a textbook thing, really. French.
It's a mixture of both, I guess, right?
What happened?
It could be, it could be a mixture of both. But,
Yeah.
Do as much legwork on your own, but then it's always best to get in. If you have even, I don't know, if you call it some friends or a section of town where they speak the language, and you can get in and try to get in some conversations or ask questions. It's like that's kind of maybe the best way. Trying to get into a language, but.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been studying, just reading up on like native people, and I'm just interested in like their language, their symbols, their culture, and you see a lot of them. Like I mean, the ones from the Caribbean, they call them Tato. They were in Florida, also in South America. They had different like brands of them, but these guys like were in Haiti. They had like this thing where they had these men. It was like a paternal society, they called it, and it was men who were like the leaders. They had the highest, stature. They had like many wives, and for a woman to be with that man would be like such an honor, and they get so much material success from being with that person. Follow that I guess that patriarch type of thing. Yeah.
What are some books you've been reading?
Me? Right now I'm reading Lewis and Clark. It's called Lewis and Clark, First Across the Continent. And that book is interesting, man. That book goes into, like, the tribes and what they saw, and they even admit that they use symbols and stuff. And you start seeing, and you see that the Native Americans, they're all, it's like a completely, like, symbolic type of people. Everything they do is basically like a setup, so for anybody who would come, like Lewis and Clark did, they would just be able to recognize, like, their belief systems. Or, like, one belief system, I made a post on it. Like, they, in their creation myth, someone with a beaver, and they were taught, like, beavers don't ever harm beaver. And I realized that that's what Lewis and Clark were. They were kind of like beavers. They kind of like build dams that would be destroyed like New Orleans. And that was like the clue for me. Like, and there was so many other things, like certain rocks that they, areas that they held sacred, and these were just like symbols or messages for, Lewis. And that lady, Sacagawea, was like one who understood the symbols. She acted like she was a guide or whatever. There was a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. They're pretty much just Masonic religions, just under different names.
Yeah.
Because they have the same or similar allegories. You can see patterns and trends. Just go under different names. So, if you read like the official history of Masonry, they said they became public around the early 18th century. But that's only what's the word? It's like that's only the official name. But if you go back, you can find like the Noachites that existed thousands of years before. Yeah. So it just shows evidence or circumstantial evidence that they've existed longer than they tell people.
Yeah, when you see Lewis and Clark, they come and they show signs and symbols to these guys. They're telling you that Freemasonry is older than this.
Yeah, there's another Freemason who wrote books on ancient symbols. His last name is Churchward. Yeah, he wrote about the ancient land of Mu. I think that's what the title was. He calls it Lemuria, but you have to look at all the symbols. He goes into all the ancient tribes and things like that, and he shows you all the allegories. Something to look into.
Yeah, right here it says. I actually wrote this down. It goes from east to west and from north to south, over the whole habitable globe are our lodges disseminated. Wherever the wandering steps of civilized men have their footprints, there have our temples been established. The lessons of Masonic love or lava have penetrated into the wilderness of the West, and the red man of our soil has shared with his more enlightened brother the mysteries of our science. While the arid sands of the African desert have more than once been the scene of a Masonic greeting, Masonry is not a fountain giving health and beauty to some single hamlet and
Hello?
Whoa, I can't even understand what I wrote here.
Encyclopedia?
Yeah, encyclopedia.
I remember something like that. Was it for Temple?
What?
I think that's for Temple, right? The article for Temple?
No, it's on the universality of Mason.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically saying, but there was another article in that Masonic Encyclopedia I remember reading. They talked about like hand signs, and they were saying like these hand signs are so old, like were people like waving and peace and all these things are Masonic. That's what they would do, like when they came off the ships and stuff. They would just show these signs, and they knew, people knew.
Yeah.
And all of these, I call them like different orders, like merchants, traders. They were like a brand of, they were all secret societies, and they all had that language. That's where you get, like, I was talking earlier, like that contract law. And I know I've heard so many people talk about this stuff. They talk, how the people, they call them sovereigns, sovereignty.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of interesting insights in that stuff. I've been listening to some of that stuff with contract law, like complete like Masonic language, man. Like they have. It's like it's in a way like you talk to somebody and you're making a contract and not even realizing it. And all these things, it's their little game that they play.
Yeah.
And like there's, the guy that I was listening to, his solution is like, just play their game with them. But like, me personally, I don't see it as a solution, as just joining in on the game. I could see it give you insight, on what's going on, but like, yeah, I don't think joining in is gonna help.
I mean, it's just good to know, so you know how not to get taken advantage of, or certain time and situations. If you just know what to say, it gets you out of like that, night in jail or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, because there's things that they do that they use. Like, if I would have known this is impossible at 16, I would have never got arrested at 16. At 16, you should have seen, like, just from the officer calling me to come in, and I came in like a dummy to the precinct. Called my house. He had no jurisdiction, no. And I came in just because I'm scared, and he arrested me for no reason. He had just for me coming in and talking to him, he was able to like arrest me.
Yeah,
and he had nothing. Huh?
You agreed to their call, you answered their call.
So, for my life, I see. I could totally see what they're talking about. Like, they do play this game, and it's not that the cop knows so much of the contract law. He probably knows, to a certain extent, but like they know personalities, they know people, because they deal with people all the time, and they know who they can fool us with and who they can't fool us with. They know the minute they talk to you, they know what type of person, what they can push you. They're like bullies,
salesmen. Man. They're like salesmen with guns.
Yeah, they're bullies, man. A bully knows who he can't. It's the same mentality like in jail. Like they know they test you, and that's what they do. It's like they're a little rousing. Like they
everything is based on that. Our whole
put you under pressure.
Whole system is based on that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're negotiating with someone in big business, they're gonna they're always like playing low. You always want to shoot low. You don't want to pay the most right away. You always kind of like setting yourself up and giving yourself wiggle room. It's the same thing. Like it's always deceiving someone else to see how much you can get or how much you don't lose. That's the whole in everything.
And that's how they turn on their own. I think their own people, like the natives, because the natives were playing this game with them, but I don't think they fully understood.
And maybe not all the natives.
Not all the natives.
The chiefs, the heads of there were.
Yeah, because the chiefs always seem to get away. Like they always seem to be the ones that, because they were just they were siding whoever had the power. Like they're like, okay, these guys got the power.
They listen to their chief, so that's the elder or whatever.
Yeah. So these people did not know anything about like this law, this type of, because these guys were using contract like ownership and all these contract things. Yeah. They were using all that shit, man, and they didn't even. They had like they were just like, yo, they were living like more, with nature, and these guys come along and say, and in their mind, I guess the people that were using all this stuff they were like justified like to do this in a way, like, well, they don't know, so that's not my fault, like. Crazy. Well,
everything's based on that.
And what is law based on? Money. Those who make the laws. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did you know there was a flood in Queensland?
Yeah. In Australia.
Yeah. It hit about like on the 9th, and it peaked around the 11th.
Yeah.
So it's going around that numerical system.
9/11,
yeah. It was 1-1-1.
I think one occurred in 1991, around the same date, January 9 and January 11, 1991.
Another thing with another correlation with 9/11, one of the people that the shooters killed, the little girl, she had an interesting, she had 3 names. And she was born on 9/11, they say.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. Glenn kind of gave a clue. He said, the Philosopher's Stone. And Tucson is SC. That's like a Philosopher's Stone right there that I see a lot. It's like PH. And if you look at it in numerology, it's 13. 13.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what he was saying about 13. Spanking on. So that was interesting. And then you look at that shooter's name. His name is Loner, man. Like, it's like a joke. I guess he's a loner.
Just a loner. He's on loan to us.
Yeah, and that Philosopher's Stone. It's the same thing that you see in Baghdad. It's GH. They're saying he's a genetic hen. Now, what does a hen do, right? What does a hen do? It lays eggs, right? So how can he be a hen, though? I'm trying to figure out how can he be a genetic hen since he's a male. Wouldn't that be like a nun or something like that? I don't know. But then again, yeah, I don't know. Maybe his mother or something. I don't know. Anybody there?
I'm here, listening.
Okay. So yeah, you spoken to that kid on the Facebook? What's his name? Aramis.
Asking me?
Yeah.
Messaged him before, yeah.
I haven't heard from him in a while. I think I kind of maybe, I don't know, offended him or something.
A lot of people post on your page for, like, love, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that.
The drunk, man. A lot of people. Oh man, you know that guy. He's on as Adam Eve. Like a lot of his friends. That's how I know those people from his friends, and a lot of them about that, man. It's just this love. It's the love religion. Insane, man. Like they're all about love and light. Love, light. Meditation. Really, and it's really seeing all that really made me want to go into what Madame Blavatsky, because she's the key to all of that. She was the one that kind of set, because without her, Buddhism would never really kind of be here in the West. She seemed to be that cornerstone, I guess you could call it. Because she was it was like a primer. Because the Western mind totally rejects Buddhism, it seems, but something kind of made it more acceptable in the West, and that was, I think, her New Age theosophy and like that. I see that they have people, theosophical societies. And then they have. You ever heard of transcendentalism?
Yeah.
And I never really looked into it too much, but it seems like it's in that same. Do you know what that's all about?
Yeah, it's about raising into different levels of awareness and consciousness by meditation, things like that.
Oh man.
It's like a philosophy of thought, brainwashing, pretty much.
There must be a grain of truth in there, and I know it's in every philosophy or whatever school. There's always some truth you could use.
Yeah, they hook people in with reason and then they twist it.
You know who's a big promoter of reason? Somebody, actually, a guy I talked to, Mason. He told me about a lady named Ayn Rand. You ever heard of her?
Yeah.
And she's she's like reason should be absolute. And it's interesting when you look at her name. Ayn is I guess German, stone. And if by hearing her accent, she seems like she's from that area in Europe, and that area is where all Nietzsche and that type of and nihilism. It all seems to they always seem they come at it from that type of angle. I know it's that type of thought, and I mean there's grains of truth in all of what they say, but seem to go another extreme.
It lacks intuition. It's just pure reason.
Yeah.
And they lack a premise.
Yeah. And you know what? That pure reason, that's nothing new, because that was used in, like, I think, like, Grecian times. They had schools that thought that was just pure reason.
Yeah. And the Greeks, whatever the Greeks got, it was from the Egyptians.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Greeks knew about the Buddhists too. They went to parts of India. Some of them I read about, and they honored these people, the Buddhists.
Yeah. There's a lot of connections. You have to look at it yourself and you see it.
Yeah. That's what I do. When I look at it, I see connections. It's like we're going to say, but they're not controversial. They mention them, but nobody says anything really to make you really look at them. But when you look at them, it's like, oh wow. Yeah,
because they don't like the big picture, that premise, or they don't have any context. They just take it at face value without questioning it.
Yeah.
It's part of the scientific mind that people have. If you ask the common graduate student something, or if you tell them something, they'll ask you for scientific evidence. And if you don't have everything laid down in a logical format with your premises and a conclusion, they won't believe it. They'll say, it's not sound or something, or it's not valid, your reasoning. That's how they go about it.
But all that stems from, and I put down Facebook, there's a guy called, who goes under the title 3 Minute Philosophy. Giant guy. And he goes into Thomas Aquinas, John Locke, all these guys. It was interesting. These were all these, Aristotle was one, but there were guys before Aristotle, and you got to see how they play with human thought. Like one guy will say something, and they'll usually have a guy who says something the opposite. Like one guy, Rene, Rene Descartes. Descartes, yeah. He tells you, he goes, if I can, I think, therefore I am, I exist. But there was another one that was saying you don't exist. And but they each had something that was really true. But they were, Aristotle, his trick, he had people all messed up, off of faulty premise, for thousands of years, until another guy came along and said, hey, no, this isn't right. Galileo, I think it was.
A lot of these people that you're mentioning, if you look at their official background, they won't mention that they were part of secret society.
Yeah.
If you look at encyclopedias, they mention it, this guy was a Rosicrucian, this guy was in the mysteries. It's real fun.
Yeah, Pythagoras too was another one. This guy was in every single cult around the world. He was part of every mystery school. And they said this guy was mentioning, he's Pythagoras is a cult-like thing. He worshipped math, and he had everybody under him swear an oath to secrecy. And he claims, this guy, he says that the reason why he did that because he had little Pythagoreans who would come up with different theories and formulas. But what he would do, he would take all the credit for it. But they were so under secrecy so they could never say anything. And he would just take all the credit for it. I thought that was kind of...
It's always interesting how they promote secrecy, and then they say that these mysteries shouldn't be revealed to the profane. They never really justify why. They just say because they just can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Funny. I think it's just their training that's how the system functions. They're just training them.
Yeah. Well, when you read the Masonic Encyclopedia, you'll see that they always seem to they come at they're the victims, and you'll see many times in history that they were banned or outlawed. Masonry, they say somebody always banned them, outlawed them. It wasn't allowed. And you'll ask, like, why? Because I know people in history, they just probably were sick and tired of this shit, seeing what they were doing or whatever. Or, I don't know, maybe there was something else behind it.
Maybe they want to make them look like martyrs or something.
Yeah.
Good people,
maybe.
the victims.
Yeah. But there were times they were killed, because, they were just found out. But then I guess, they killed their own first, so maybe.
Yeah, they don't mind killing their own, especially if they're lower degrees. Like willing servants.
Yeah, man, like, there's no, they talk about love and all this shit. I don't know, to me, it seems like you're in more danger if you work for them.
Yeah, because they have better info on you. Keeping an eye on you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I see that, like, guys who join, like, FBI, CIA. These guys, they join these people, and, like, it's like you got to keep, if you're working for them, you got to keep some type of leverage so they don't get rid of you. And even when you join them and you're retired, supposedly, you're getting watched the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. What type of... But I guess a lot of these guys, like... Because I don't think, like, these CIA people, they're not people who just join some guy off the street. I think it's like these guys are, like, kind of bred. Their families, they just bred for that position.
A lot are bred, and then they have positions where they'll recruit strangers, but they put them in lower positions, usually bodyguards, things like that. Like, you can go apply for the Secret Service, and then you go risk your life,
Yeah, they actually were, when I used to go to school, college, I remember the Secret Service was like, during the job fair, they were there. That's how they get them, man, through job fairs, and even the sheriffs.
Or military guys.
Yeah.
You already had certain training, so that's what they're looking for, Marines and stuff like that. Like, you want to go to the next level, you want to be on, this or that. Yeah. But there's tons that don't want to necessarily get out there and fight, but they'll go and,
It's funny how you guys are on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, and it's the same exact thing. It's nothing different.
Yeah, you should picture how it is in the Midwest, man. It's all military. When I look at the Midwest place, that's in Virginia is where they're all stationed. They're in Missouri. I know people in military. Texas is a big one, yeah. It's all military.
We have one upstate, too.
Yeah.
There's forts everywhere. And
they got one over here.
I got one by me, actually.
I look at it like I look at it as an opportunity to learn, like, because I know some people in the military, so I just ask questions and I find out a lot of things from those people. Like, they tell me the things that they see, whatever, and they all do it for money usually. That's why they do it. Or some people do it for camaraderie, be part of the whole team. And
people do it because they don't have anything else, like as far as, to either get a job or join the military at 18 if you're not going to college or something like that. So people...
Yeah, because like the culture kind of has a solely based, and then these people, young guys, they feel like they have no order in their lives, and these people bring order to it.
Yeah. And cash.
What?
And cash.
And cash. Oh, yeah.
And cash.
Yeah.
That's what they're after.
Bonuses and this and that.
And they like the power, too, if you go to, like, a third world country and just dominate everyone else.
Yeah.
They're always taking pictures with, like, ammunition and freaking Gatling guns and rail guns. Whatever.
Yeah. But a lot of
if you actually look at their job,
genetic thing, man. Some people's genetic, like their father was in it. They do it. Like, it's just like it's part of their genetic coding.
Like if their father or grandfather, it just makes it easier for them to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, dad was in it, grandpa was, it's just something we
yeah,
do.
you know, them growing up with Grandpa, he's gonna tell you nothing but good things about it growing up.
Yep. Maybe. I mean, less, you know, some of them.
Not all.
My grandpa didn't tell me any nice things about the war, so, you know.
They look, oh, it'll make you a man. They teach you that. And they have this in every country, I think, man. Like, in some countries, like, and the whole thing with the contract law, like, I remember when I was 18, like, they mailed shit to my house saying, like, you have to join the army, like, what? Why do I have to join the army? Or you go to jail. Like, it's
and join that army.
Yeah. It's crazy,
well,
man.
Even like when you register to vote, you basically put in, so there's a draft, they can call
it. You're signing all these contracts, man. And you're not even realizing, man, like, you know, that's crazy, man. I see that now. I see deception, not deception everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just like, man, you know, I don't even want to be part of their system, man. I just want to kind of like, even though you can never fully disconnect from their system, but like, try to as much as you can, I guess, out of the system. But that's a hard thing. As far as like
knowing the contract stuff, like the law and the wording, I mean, that stuff is good to know just so you can like avoid having to pay money or stuff like that. No, I'm not saying like your taxes or anything, but if you're getting
even taxes, man, taxes is, when you realize what it is, it's not something that. I mean, Glenn does it all the time. He mails it and he goes, why? You know,
no,
you fill it out.
You fill it out. Yeah. You fill it out. He leaves it all blank and signs the bottom.
Yeah. So, like, I think he knows, because he's been like going to court for like years and shit. He's going
helping the natives and stuff.
Yeah, he's been doing all that stuff and looking how, like he said, he sees how judges do this. So like that's how you learn about contract law. That's what the guy was saying. Like he goes, you read all this stuff and that's good, but like that experience is more valuable than anything else. Yeah. Actually going through the courtrooms and seeing that, because you know what to say, you know what to.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know, because there's a lot of things, man. There's a lot of things I need to know about, you know, about all that stuff. But.
Hey, you know when Glenn mentions more dimensions, is it referring to another dimension of time, like a fifth?
No, not time. He just I guess he didn't explain like what fifth and sixth are. And I've heard it being explained by maybe you would be good at that, at looking at the geometry, right? Because geometry seems to be like a symbolic representation of all that stuff. They do talk when you look at the shapes and stuff. They show you.
Well, kind of like he was just saying, like what, like fourth dimension is more like time.
Yeah.
So as far as leaving this, or like a way of what they're trying to figure out is like the way of traveling through like basically galaxies instead of just going propelled by, you know, for thousands or millions of years to get to the next place. It has to be a quicker way, and it might be with the sound. That's what the whole thing with looking at with that movie, Close Encounters of a Third Kind, when they had that part when they were talking with the other that sound, whatever that sound is like where that's what's in Gregorian chant, that same those tonal frequencies. That's like a gateway kind of with sound. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
So
there was kind of what he's getting at. Named Jacob Boehme. That's the name. Boeing. And he talked about the sounding returning. It was forgot what exactly. Actually, I think I wrote it down. It talks about the sound and how it returns into it's like these guys, the Gregorian people, they it's interesting that word Gregorian, Gregory, that name is also the name of the Watchers or the Nephilim, they call them. There's another name for that's another link.
Gregorian calendar.
I think I found. He goes, so when the person enters, you enter into the silence which came before the sounding, as Bomi called it, and that sounding which must finally return again into sleep. It's like when you play a sound, like you see it, it's like it rings, you hear it, it's like it has its peak, and then it comes back down to it's like when you hear the bell, right? It comes to a peak, and then it comes to like a close. That's the same concept of the seed and everything, and coming back. And
it's also like when you hear a train coming, you hear the faint whistle, and then it comes past you, and then it leaves. But it's the same volume the whole entire time.
Yeah.
It's coming towards you past, and then so it changes.
That's something that we really. There's a guy named I think his name was John Randall, who wrote on the theory of sound. Maybe that's something you could get into, Mike. Because I've been wanting to get into this stuff, the sound. Because then you look at Zen, they're all about like what they call intensity. That's like one of the doctrines, and that's what sound is. It's like it's partly an intensity. And if you look up time, right? I was looking up time. The definition I wrote down. The definition of time is I think the sound. Definition of time is the measure of sounds. One of the definitions is the measure of sounds or tone. And tone is like, because that's what all music is all music is based on pitch, intensity, tone, I think quality.
Duration.
Duration. And you ever watch that movie Riddick? The Riddick Chronicles, Vin Diesel. You ever heard of it? Yeah. Well, there's a movie where they talk about the necromancer or whatever. This is a part. And it's like when they're on this ship and they're communicating through like this vibration in water. It was like insane. I was thinking, I was like, wow, they're hinting at like something, man. Can you imagine that? Like they were like talking through these things like phones. I don't know. It just kind of gave me a clue of like what type of technology they have. They have, because sound travels through. When you look at it, said sound can only travel. It can travel through matter, through water. They said it could sound, and I forgot what else.
Gravity affects it too.
Yeah. So like, I think sound is like really important, man, and these priests know it. I mean, that's why they've been messing around with sound. Like whenever like you hear like inside like Zen or any priest, like they all play music, and they for a certain type of tone or trance. They all know about this. Like I bet Egyptians were probably doing it too. At all temples, I think they like played certain sounds. In Greece, they played the harp. Hello.
Yeah.
In Greece, they played the harp. And the harp is.
But usually, to induce trance, it has to be like repetitive notes. That repetition is what puts you into the trance.
I mean, they got actually a genre of electronic music called trance, techno.
Yeah.
And I notice a lot of that stuff is linked to like Buddhist stuff, because the names of the artists, they'll be like the Buddhist type of thing, and they always some Buddhist buzzword, Eastern buzzword. Like I noticed that it's like kind of big in that type of music. I remember Prodigy. There's a song by the group Prodigy. I don't know if anybody ever heard of them, but they're pretty big, and they have a song called Narayana. You should listen to that shit, man. And in that song, they use like halfway through, they use like a chant that's like a Buddhist chant, and they keep going. And when people do these things, I've met like women who like to do that stuff, like they say actually, I know somebody on Facebook who likes to do that stuff. And when you do that, I think you're like clearing your mind, and you're like making your mind easily programmable. Like it's a technique that they make you do on yourself, so they can program you. It's like when they, when we go in a Catholic church, I've seen it myself, and they go, they always have to have these songs and these hymns.
I think it's based on like that deep throaty sound. Because those higher notes will make you kind of focuses you more, because it's like a higher note, so you're paying more attention to it. But that is more like a steady, like melodic kind of movement,
I remember Alan Watts said that too. He goes, it's all part of the brainwash, like when you sit there and you go and you kneel in the aisle. All these things, like these physical things, like
the cue.
Yeah, it's all like it's doing something to you.
All right, guys, I gotta go. I'll talk to you next time.
All right.
Bye.
All right. So yeah, all those things, man. How long have you been on for? 2?
2.
Oh wow, 2 hours, 2.5. Oh, that's not bad.
Nope.
It's not like 9 hours.
Yeah, I guess it's good end here.
Yeah.
Is there any other points you wanted to make?
Can't think of any right now unless you want to bring something up.
You and and too much.
Oh yeah, all that shit's just like, and is actually 3 in 1. It's partly will there will. It's the 3 in 1 deity.
Yeah, that was an interesting concept too. How the Earth's listening and also the speaker too. It's
receiving, giving, and
listening and receiving. Yeah. I knew that, but it made more sense today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's things that like make more sense to when it's said in another way.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll get off.
All right.
Unless you want to say anything else.
Well, save it for next time.
All right. Yeah. I guess so.
Okay. Till next time.
Yep. All right. Bye.
All right.